Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Carly and I am a mixed media artist who specializes in gouache paint, ink work, and sometimes I do digital painting. I am back. I am doing batch edits during my break. I teach part-time at an art college, and between the semesters I figured would be the perfect time for me to edit a bunch of videos. That way I can actually have things posted with some sense of consistency. My goal is to have things posted weekly, so yeah. Thanks for sticking around, by the way. Anyway, so as you can see here, I am transferring my sketch onto my illustration board using graphite paper. I'm using a blue pen, that way it's obvious to me where I already traced the lines and I don't get any unnecessary, super dark, hard to remove lines. I oftentimes start all of my paintings with a Photoshop reference. In this case, I got a picture of some mushrooms and I wanted to make them glowing. These mushrooms were actually in the daytime, and I went on Photoshop and turned it into nighttime lighting, which I can do a tutorial on how to do that if you want, but there's other good ones out there too. And then I made them glow. I found a reference of a model dressed as a fairy. I gave her different wings, and I also replaced her head with a mushroom head. I also included some spider webs with dewdrops, and there's an oval around the whole composition. My plan for this is for everything inside the oval to be done with gouache paint and color, so the majority of it. And then any elements that are coming out of frame are going to be done with ballpoint ink in black and white, so it'll have kind of a trippy little effect going on there. I want it to look like you're looking through a portal to a different dimension, kind of. So right now I'm doing the color blocking stage, which is essentially getting as accurate of color matching done and just blocking out all the shapes that you see with the colors you have mixed. Right now I'm starting with the background because that is the largest area of the same color. And for the background, all I did was mix together some Prussian blue and ivory black gouache paint. I wound up leaving the dewdrops on the spider webs blank, but later on I do go back in with a light wash of paint over them, so there's a little bit of a transparent underpainting for the dewdrops that are the background color, just because I didn't want them to be totally white, but I also didn't want them to just be totally blocked in, because that defeats the purpose as to why I even transferred that area with the graphite paper to begin with. Very, very precise little dewdrops I'm gonna have to paint in. I'm actually looking forward to that. That's like some of my favorite stuff to paint. It's just like tiny little sparkles. So for a while here, I'm just going to be working on the background. While I'm doing that, I want to tell you guys a little bit of some background stuff about this painting. So every year I like to do an event called Game of Shrooms. It's a mushroom themed art scavenger hunt, and it is all online. And then, I mean, obviously you find the artwork in real life. You're not jumping through different dimensions doing that, but you know what I mean. So it takes place online on Instagram for the most part. To participate, you just go to Game of Shrooms, their website, you give them their Instagram handle, and you also sign up on your location, like where you plan on hiding your artwork. I'm going to be hiding my artwork in Bremerton, Washington, so if you're in the area, hey! On June 8th is when everyone gets to go out and find the artwork. I like to go out the night before or the morning of to hide the artwork. I think I'm gonna do the night before. I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, and then You just post videos hinting at where you're hiding your art. I like to create a new mushroom themed piece every year to kind of celebrate it. I do plan on making prints of this to hide for the scavenger hunt. However, I will be making prints of previous artworks as well, like my Kevin the Raccoon piece, Darla the Possum, and Batrick the Bat. Those are all a lot of people's favorites. I also have a magic mushroom painting that I'll probably be making prints of to hide as well. And I like to give variety. I like to do sometimes like 8x10s, postcard print size. I do a lot of those because they're less expensive. Sometimes I do stickers. Yeah, it's really fun. And you get to meet a lot of people that are into the same stuff as you. And people also, they'll post your artwork and tag you in it. And it's super fun. It's super fun. Alright, right here I am creating as close to an acid green as I can, given the pigments that are available to me currently. I thought about buying a straight up, like, neon pigment for this, but I don't think I want it to be that bright. I really like muted colors a lot, so neon stuff isn't really something I paint a whole lot of, but I'm working with it. I do end up later putting in some of this other green I have. I think it's spring green or something like that, or sap green, and that definitely punches up the saturation quite a bit. For now though, I'm just blocking in, like, this is going to be green. This area is going to be a cooler green because it's going to have the shadow underneath the ruffle of the little mushroom skirt. And then I put in a lot more white gouache paint because that area underneath the mushroom is going to be emitting a glow, so it's going to be a lot brighter. I also created a gradient from the top to the bottom of the stems, making it look kind of dirty at the bottom, and then as it goes up, it turns more green due to the glowy nature of the mushroom, you know. The legs and skirt on the fairy were actually pretty difficult, but it wound up being okay. I lied. It wound up being okay. I thought it was going to be really difficult, but then once I started doing it, I was like, this is easy. Because it's a lot of purple and green and kind of mauve colors. I made sure to make the dress that she's wearing kind of blend in with her skin tone, and her skin tone matches the local color of the mushrooms themselves because I wanted this fairy to be inspired by the mushroom, hence why her head is the mushroom, literally. I also photoshopped on the top part, side note, the top part of her dress corset situation, there's like that ruffle thing. I actually photoshopped on part of the ruffly situation on a mushroom to that part of her dress. So there's actual mushroom like photoshopped under her dress. But yeah, so it's going to be a lot of similar colors with the mushrooms and her dress and her skin tone because I wanted her to almost be like the spirit of the mushroom, if that makes sense. I mean, it doesn't make sense, but you get why it could, right? Yeah. See, you and me, we understand each other. We're all good. I am also blocking in these wings here, so what I did for that was similar to the background. I used a lot of ivory black and Prussian blue, but I did add more Prussian blue in that ratio mixture, so you can see that kind of creating more of a, well, it looks more blue because I have more blue. Then I started color blocking the moss on the log that the mushrooms are growing out of, which felt like an impossible task. However, I just kept keeping my eyes out of focus, which kind of hurt after a while, but it's okay. It's for art, right? And every color I saw, I just tried to make an abstract shape of the color I saw. And that's about it. It's not that deep. It's moss. It doesn't have to be precise, right? As long as I get the general idea, the general essence of the moss. Am I right? Yeah. And you know what? I end up blending all this stuff out later, so it's fine. It's fine. Don't overthink it. Just make your eyes go blurry, and then the colors you see, you just plop those colors on there. Really, like truly, that's what you do. All right, and speaking of, now I'm doing the same thing, but I'm doing it a little bit more detailed. I'm adding in some of those ridges. I think they're called gills underneath the mushroom. Am I totally wrong? Am I making that up? I feel like that's accurate. The mushroom gills, the line thingies. I'm putting just some white gouache paint through there, and I'm adding some highlights to the fairy wings, so it looks transparent, kind of, because it looks like there's a film in the wings because it's the background color but a little bit more blue to give a sense of like a sheen. And then I'm adding some green to reflect onto those areas, and areas where there's gonna be more of the light bouncing back from the mushrooms. And it's looking great. And you know what? I was totally right about, like, you know what? I'm gonna blend this out later and it's gonna look bomb. Because look at this. Look at this. Look at the fabric. Look at the fabric. Is that not what I wanted? Because it is. Hello. And that's why color blocking is great. Because don't take yourself too seriously. Don't blend things right away. You don't have to do that. You're making it harder on yourself. You just gotta make your eyes blurry or take off your glasses. Sometimes that works even better. Take off your glasses and just the colors, focus just on the color. Don't even think about the detail. Because later on we're going to be blending it out, and now look at that. Look at that fabric. I was so pleased. Obviously, I'm going to be adding in more details later, but this is a very strong foundation for a painting. This makes my life easier later on. Alright, so this usually happens when I edit videos, is in the beginning, there's so much information I need to immediately tell you, and then as it goes on, it's very repetitive. So I might pop in a little less throughout the video, there might be some very long silences, but enjoy the music that I chose for you. And also check out the artist, because I'm a huge fan of their work. Really good vibes, just beautiful, beautiful work. Definitely check out their channel. But yeah, anyways, I did want to say this though before I let you guys chill out and just watch the process. To blend like I am for the fabric or anywhere really with gouache paint, I like to get a damp brush. So what I do is I literally take my brush, I put it in water, and then I blot it one side, then go on the other side, blot the other side on a paper towel, and then you're good to go. It's almost dry, but it's just enough water in there that when you start feathering the edges of all those blocked colors, it will start blending like a dream, because gouache revives whatever's underneath, so it should create some seamless edges for you. So at this point, I am getting a lot more specific with my paint application. I'm getting more and more detailed the more I color block, and in some areas I have began blending already. In areas like the fabric, because a lot of the colors I added were pretty much done. I just really needed to form the folds in the fabric to get it right. Right now I'm blending out the shadows along the fairy legs. There's this really intense core shadow against her shin bone, so right now it's kind of like trying to blend it while still keeping it sharp, if that makes sense, because there's a soft edge, but it's still pretty sharp along that core shadow. Okay, I'm gonna say this, not a fan of feet. Not just drawing them, I just mean in general, feet are weird. But you know what? I gotta draw them. I gotta paint them. It's part of anatomy. Get over it, Carly. So here I am painting the feet. Very awkward because they're so tiny. They're like Barbie feet. It's like trying to paint Barbie feet. It's wow. And all the details, all the different knuckles, all the different joints. It can be overwhelming, so I'm really trying my hardest just to keep my eyes blurry so that I can really focus on establishing where those straight up core shadows are gonna go, right? You don't want to get into detail right now. Detail's later. Detail is much later. We add detail gradually as we go, right? And I'm doing the same thing on the other leg where I'm blurring out that core shadow as well as blending out some of the shading along the dress, the arms, and chest. Alright, so right here I am focusing on the mushroom, the largest one. It's difficult because there's going to be a shadow from that little roughly skirt of the mushroom, casting a shadow down on the stem, but at the same time it's glowing from above. But so then it's like, okay, there would definitely be a shadow because the light source is right on top where the gills are, but at the same time it's glowing all around. So I figured out when I was photoshopping it and looking at references, there would be a shadow. It would be very subtle, and the glowing is just going to be more apparent around the edges of the stem. And that's what I'm at the end of the day, I'm like, that's the best I can do. That's what I can do. That makes sense. All right, let's do that. There's also going to be a darker concentration of green color or hue around the center of the gills where it meets the stem, because that's where everything's all connected. All of the gills are condensed and closer together, so there's going to be less of that light being able to peek through each little area. So there it's more condensed with the mushroom, so there's going to be less of a glowy light. So I'm focusing more of that cool toned green right there, and then as it fans out I am focusing more of that really vibrant light green that I have mixed with some titanium white paint. Another interesting lighting issue here is with the mushroom cap. So it's going to have a core shadow around the very apex of the rim around the cap, and then as the edge curls under, it's going to get a green rim light, right? But then when you go towards the top of the cap, from that dark core shadow, it's going to go up and it's going to get lighter blue. There's going to be more of that Prussian blue showing through. So with the lighting, I figured behind the fairy, there's going to be, obviously it's nighttime, so there's going to be moonlight, and that tends to be a lot more teal blue looking. And then as all of these other elements are focused more towards the mushrooms, it's going to emit more of that green glow. So we're working with two different light sources here. If you've seen any of my other videos, you're probably laughing right now because I do this to myself all the time. I don't know why. I do know why, because it looks cool. It looks cool. That's why I do it. But that is why the top of the caps are a little bit more blue, because I want it to look like, you know, it's nighttime. The moon's out. So similar thing I did for the mushroom stem where it had that shadow being cast. I'm using that same cooler toned, deeper green as the shadow for in between the gills in the mushroom. And I'm creating this shadow from the outer edge and towards the center of the mushroom. There's going to be almost like a ring of light around, almost like a UFO kind of halo effect underneath the mushroom here. And then as I blend that out, it kind of creates the illusion of smaller, thinner gills in between the larger sections. It's a good way to kind of create a sense of irregular edges to make it look a little bit more organic. Well, that concludes this week's video. Like I said earlier, I am on break, so I am planning on editing a bunch of videos because I have so much footage that I just have not used. I just haven't had time to sit down and edit from my other job, which I love, but you know, right now is a good time to try and make enough video footage so that I can have things scheduled out while I'm teaching, and then on the next break I can do the same thing. And I feel like that's going to be a good way to balance both of these parts of my life out. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for supporting me. And if you're in Washington and you're closer to Bremerton, I will be hiding my artwork. I do plan on making prints of these when this painting is done. I will first be hiding the prints for Game of Shrooms, and then after Game of Shrooms, I will be posting them for sale on my website. But all my other mushroom stuff is already launched, already on sale on my website. Yeah, I also have some Goblin Mode merch as well. Anyways, I hope you liked this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. And I will see you in the next one. Bye!